Can I say it for like multiple? Can I say it for like multiple like consoles?
Yeah, we can go for that. Like best baseball game for Nintendo, Super Nintendo, or whatever.
Okay. All right. Well, to be honest, I didn't play a lot of baseball for the Nintendo. Well, I have a Nintendo emulator, so I like to cheat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are some good games for the Nintendo Empire. Franchise for baseball, and I kind of like the Little League Championship Series for some odd reason.
Oh yeah, I used to play that game a lot when I was little.
Yeah.
When it was on the Nintendo.
Yep.
That's a good game. And the best one for me for the Nintendo, for the NES, would have to be either like the RBI Baseball Series or the Baseball Star Series.
Baseball Stars, they didn't have Major League players, did they?
No, but you can create teams and divisions on there.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, but my favorite overall, if I had to choose between them, since they're both like very good at different seasons, mine has to be RBI Baseball. Even though they don't have real teams at the time, they do have real players to represent their teams. Like,
wow.
You can play Noel Ryan and Roger Clemens in that same game.
Right. But the point is, Jason, I know RBI started out in the NES, but I didn't say that for the NES because like there were later incarnations like on the Sega Genesis and such.
Oh yeah. Well, if you go all the way back to 8-bit and 16-bit, then RBI Baseball basically dominated the whole baseball market for video games.
Right. So okay, so we've covered Nintendo. Now Super Nintendo, you go first.
Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I remember playing the Ken Griffey Jr. games for Super Nintendo. They were good, although they didn't have real players, with the exception of Ken Griffey Jr.
Exactly.
They do have real teams, though.
Yeah, right. Well, for me, it's another emulator game, but anyway, it's Tecmo Super Baseball. Like it came out in '94. It had all the real players and all that, and had the 28 teams at the time because Florida and Colorado came in '93, and then of course Arizona and Tampa came in '98. But now you said Ken Griffey Super Nintendo. I said Tecmo Super Baseball, and then for Sega, well, obviously it'd be RBI Baseball 4 because it had the most collection of old time teams.
Oh yeah, with dating all the way back to 1983.
Yeah, like 83 to like 92, like the all time teams. The fact is, of course, not all of them had the actual names. They had like initials, like I think the Blue Jays of '85, for example. I do remember there would be JB Outfield or something like that. But that's Jesse Barfield's initials. So you would have to go back to a baseball book to know who played what position.
Oh yeah. Well, like when I was over the AFK Tavern with my friend Jesse, cause it's a place where you play video games and drink alcohol there. We're playing a game called RBI Baseball, the original one for Nintendo. Even we could recall some of the stats on that game. Yeah, because we're both huge sports nerds.
Yeah. So what's the Sega one for you, Jason?
I have to say, World Series Baseball for Sega Genesis.
Oh, yeah. I know that one, too.
Because there's all the teams. Not only has all the teams and players, but they also have, the stadiums, too. That was, one of the first video games to include actual stadiums.
Right.
Where they play baseball. So usually, the closest thing they came before that was RBI Baseball with Kansas City having the waterfalls and everything else, but
yeah.
Other than that, World Series was the first, game to include all stadiums, including the Kingdom, which I was kind of smiling about when I saw that. I was like, wow, they got the Kingdom right.
Right. Okay. Well, that takes me to, well, I know you have a PS2. I have one too. Well, I don't actively play it because I have a PS3. But the problem with the PS2 ones is that in my mind there's two that stand out. But one is actually one is because I have that version on the PC too, and I think the PC version is much better. So I'm going to go with All-Star Baseball 05, Jason, because they had all the teams. They had some retro teams, post-war legends, like post-World War II and pre-World War II stars. They even had they had weird stadiums in place, one where the outfield line was grapes, and they also had old-time baseball stadiums like Shy Park, Tiger Stadium, Classic Fenway, that kind of stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'll play baseball games on PlayStation 2. I'm spending the majority of my time on PlayStation 2 with football games. Speaking of football, I'll be right back. I'm going to go to the bathroom, so don't hang up.
I'm not hanging up, Jason. Trust me. Yeah.
So, for football, what's your favorite for the NES?
For the NES, I guess it would be the original Tecmo Bowl.
Mine's a toss-up between the original Tecmo Bowl and the Tecmo Super Bowl. I'll tell you why, because they both have revolutionized football games, and the Tecmo Super Bowl was the first video game to have
oh, right. I'm sorry, Jason. I keep thinking Tecmo Super Bowl was Super Nintendo inclusive. I keep forgetting that it's Nintendo too.
Yeah.
That was actually my favorite.
Not only one of the best sequels in any video games,
yeah,
but also the first video game to have a real player's license.
Yeah. Because the second and third one, well, they added new playbooks, and it was harder to pick plays. It's easier in the old style because you had 8 plays to choose for. So you had a 1 in 8 chance of, on defense, you had a 1 in 8 chance of picking the play that your opponent was trying to pick, and all that.
Well, anyway, I was gonna say for football, for Super Nintendo, for Sega Genesis, I also go with the Tecmo Super Bowl 2, but I also like the Madden games they have for Sega, though, at least. The Super Nintendo one seems watered down to me.
Yeah, Madden. Yeah, that's true about Madden as well. That, yeah, the original ones for Super Nintendo and all that. Yeah, I play my fair share.
Yeah, so the Sega Genesis are always the best ones for when you play Madden.
Right, makes sense. But the main problem about the old Madden games was, even though they had all-time teams, you had to guess who was the quarterback, who was the running back, and all that. You would have to do your historical research.
Oh yeah. But like I said, since I played a lot of Madden games for a long time and saw the Tecmo games, even if I have people that don't know who the players are, I can actually tell them without looking up in the dictionary or all the encyclopedias for football seasons. I'll look up if it's the more obscure facts.
Yeah, there's a lot of obscurity sometimes.
Did you know that Paul Weathers played the NFL for just a little bit before he became an actor?
I actually knew that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Let's see, what other ones? I was looking for my Uncle Visco because he once played for the 49ers back in its early days of franchises, Great Uncle Visco. Back before they have face masks.
I see, yeah. Okay, so for PS2/PS3, for me, well, of course, the old Madden games. I used to enjoy playing like the NCAA games. Like I had NCAA Football 11 for the PS2 before I ended up getting the PS3. But the problem is, the NCAA football. I still have NCAA 11 for the PS3, but the problem is you can't create your own school unless you go online. Whereas on the PS2, you could do it right from scratch.
Yeah. That's what you told me one time when I said I had the NCAA Football 11 for PS2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that because I never played a state model season, so I was playing as a linebacker for the not Seattle, but University of Washington.
Yeah, University of Washington. Yeah.
Well, anyway, what was I going to say?
You were going to give me...
What's your favorite basketball game for the Nintendo, the regular Nintendo? NBA Ballers, just to catch up, just to catch it on the NBA Street franchise.
NBA Ballers was good for a while, and then when it started getting harder, it was like you're trying to advance, but you can't get past a certain stage and all that. But you're right about the NBA Street franchise, Jason, because I was just thinking that too. It's hard to pick which one's the best, because, well, I had played NBA Street 1 at one time, and then I got rid of it, and then I ended up picking up another version, but the problem with my PS2 is that I couldn't play blue bottom discs, and it didn't work anymore. So, well, NBA Street 3 had, like, the dunk contests and all that, because they didn't have it for the first two, like, you had legendary dunkers like Bill Walton, Dr. J, Dominique. You even had the Beastie Boys as playable characters in that.
Really?
Yeah, that's true.
I didn't know that. Like I said, I only played the first NBA Street game, so I didn't know Beastie Boys were playable characters in the third game of the franchise.
Yeah, I picked up NBA Street Home Court. Well, that's the PS3 version, and I found that it just could not compare to the PS2 versions, which is awkward.
Yeah. Well, let's see. For the final topic, best hockey games for consoles. What's your favorite one for the NES?
Wayne Gretzky's Hockey, because it actually had real player names and all that, but the graphics were like primitive.
Well, of course, it was Nintendo Entertainment System at the time, so it's 8-bit, and you're probably not going to get the best speed-art graphics in those games. But
not really.
Here's my picks. I think mine's kind of a pick-em between like Ice Hockey for Nintendo and Blades of Steel for Konami.
Yeah, Blades of Steel, that's good. That one's good. Yeah.
Well, I like Blades of Steel because you could fight in that game, and I like Ice Hockey. You play like all kinds of foreign teams on there. Like there's the American League, there's the American team, the Canadian team, German team.
Soviets, I think.
Team.
Yeah, Soviet.
Don't they have a Japan team?
I think I've seen Japan, yeah.
I'm going to say, does Japan have a hockey team? Because I don't think I ever seen them play hockey.
There's actually a Japanese hockey league, if memory serves me right. They've been playing for quite a while. Yeah. Not too many Japanese players have got into the NHL. I mean, there was this goalie on LA called Yakita Fuji, which of course the last name sounds kind of funny.
Fuji?
Fuku Fuji, F-U-K-U.
Oh, Fuku Fuji, okay.
Yeah, or if you mispronounce it, it sounds offensive.
Oh.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so you go next. Super Nintendo.
Obvious. The NHL Hockey Series for EA Sports.
Like which one?
Let's see. The best one would have to be the one with NHL Hockey 94, because you have both the players license and the all the NHL teams during that time.
Did you mean ESPN National Hockey Night?
No, EA Sports National Hockey Night 4.
National Hockey Night?
NHL Night 4, that's what I meant.
Yeah, you mean NHL 94, because because ESPN put out, like, you know, they put out generic versions of games for all 4 sports with the Super Nintendo, but they didn't have the players license, excuse me. So you had to guess which player was which.
Yeah, but for us both sports fans, we know who they are, as they couldn't license the players' names on there.
Yeah, right. You have to do your research. For me, I think one of my first sports game I got for the Super Nintendo was Stanley Cup Hockey.
Oh, for the Nintendo?
Super Nintendo, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I'm going by the company's name because I know Nintendo made Stanley Cup at one point, but
yeah.
It's like the ESPN games you're talking about. It has all the teams, but none of the actual real players, at least the licensing of the real players.
Yeah, they didn't have the real player license. They had the numbers, but not the names.
Yeah, because I remember, like, when my brother and I used to play, like, those games for the Sega Genesis, the first hockey I played was the original NHL Hockey 91 for EA Sports.
I mean that, like, almost every EA Sports game for the Sega Genesis, you had, like, highlights, and then they showed the highlights of other games?
Yeah, other games on, like, it has to be NHL Hits 2003, or 2002.
Oh, for me, that's one of my favorites. I mean, you get to create your own team and all that.
Oh, yes.
And go all around the world. That was amazing. And it had all the teams. It had all the NHL players. Well, some NHL players. There weren't all the players on a team. There were like 10 or 12 of teams.
Yeah, so it's like supposed to be like NBA Jam but with hockey.
Yeah, that seems that way. Yeah. Yeah, like I played a lot of versions of hockey for the PS2. Well, of course, being Canadian and all that. ESPN. Well, when ESPN actually had the NHL license for 2K5, which ended up being the lockout season, all that. I mean, that was excellent. How ESPN integrated themselves into the hockey series, and then a few years. Well, no, NHL 2K, whatever, 6 or 7, you actually got to play as, like, retro teams, like, let me think, the 51 Leafs, the 67 Leafs, 72 Rangers, and there were a lot of teams from, like, 93, like Quebec, Boston, Montreal, Buffalo, Toronto, because, 93, there were a ton of teams that actually had 100 points that year.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I like
the one hell of a year for NHL.
Oh yeah, and I know who played. Well, the problem with that game is with those games like 2K6 and all that is that the player like a center, like the number 1 center for like Toronto and all that, he didn't have number 93 on, and you would have to change the number and like know the guy's name and all that.
Yeah, it's the same thing with all these, like, NFL 2K5 games. You're playing, like, the all-time, players on there. You have to, like, change the numbers and the names of the last names like that, because some of the numbers might be wrong. Like, Terry Bradshaw's number 13, he's number 12.
Yeah.
But Joe Montana's not 17, he's 16.
I thought that was only for, like, the ESPN, like, simulations and all that. I know the numbers are wrong on purpose, but... Because I know that one problem with that game was that you could only have two franchise season teams, like the 1999 San Francisco Niners on it and all of that. You could only save like 2 at a time or something like that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, man, it was